Shabbat Shalom. This week's Torah portion starts us on the story of Abraham, or rather, he's still Abram in this very beginning of the portion. He doesn't become Abraham until chapter 17. In chapter 12, we read the very first words that God spoke to Abram. Verse 1 says, "Now the Lord had said to Abram, get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house, to a land that I will show you." So Abram was being asked to leave everything and everyone that he knew to go to an unknown place. And we know that he was asked to go to Canaan. He doesn't know this at that point in time. And I was looking it up, and it was about 400 miles away from the country of Haran where he was living. So nowadays, moving 400 miles away isn't quite as big of a deal as it was back then, because we've got cars and airplanes, and we've got phones where we can FaceTime and see each other whenever we want to. But Abram didn't have any of those luxuries. So when God asked him to leave his country and everything behind, he was essentially asking him to leave with the very possibility that he would never see his family again. When we get to verses 2 and 3, God tells Abram that he's going to make him into a great nation. He's going to make his name great, and that everyone who blesses him will be blessed, and everyone who curses him will be cursed, and that through him, all of the families of the earth shall be blessed. That's very heavy. God had very great, wonderful plans for Abram. Big responsibilities. These verses that we're reading aren't just about where Abram's going. Yes, God's taken him away from there to a different land. But these verses are also about where he's coming from. Abram's leaving his country, his family, everything that is comfortable and familiar. Sometimes we have goals and we have dreams in life, and we often have to let go of things and sacrifice so that we can get to that goal. If we want to save up for a big vacation, or if we are in college to go, be a doctor, or really anything, we're having to sacrifice time, and we're having to, maybe work extra, but we're having to let go of certain things. Maybe we can't go to all of the get-togethers with our friends, but we do all of these things because we have a greater goal, a greater thing out there that's going to come at the end of it. And so this is what Abram is going for. He's having to make these sacrifices and leave behind his family and his country. And he's 75 years old at this point, so he's not a young guy. This is a big deal, but he knows that God has great plans for him, and that if he just follows him, that it's going to be something greater. But oftentimes we limit ourselves. We become comfortable in life. We might have different situations, a job, or even relationships that we're miserable. They hold us back from greater things, but we'd rather be comfortable in our misery than to be uncomfortable and go towards the unknown. We don't know if that new job, sure, it might pay more, but will we really like it? How will our coworkers be? What's it going to be like? We don't know what to expect when we leave our comfort zones. And so we tend to hold ourselves back. And this definitely pertains to God's plans for us. We are so comfortable just going through the motions that we don't want to always go and do those hard things. But God has high expectations of us. And so we have to learn to go out of those comfort zones and embrace it, even when it's scary and uncomfortable. Abram was one ordinary man, but he followed an extraordinary God. When he left that land, when he obeyed God, he not only changed his life, but he changed the entire course of history. Abram didn't rule any empires. He didn't command a great army. He didn't perform miracles or prophesy. But yet, over half of the world's population today, over half of the world's population, including 14 million Jews and 5.8 billion Christians, consider Abraham to be their spiritual ancestor. So when God told him that all of the peoples of the earth will be blessed because of him, he kept that promise. Because all of these years later, we still talk about Abraham. We still learn about Abraham. The Hebrew word or the name for this week's Torah portion is called Lech Lecha, and it means to go out or to go away. He says to go out of your country. But if we remove those vowels from the Hebrew words, which in Hebrew, there were no vowel sounds. It wasn't until about 60 AD before they started adding vowel sounds to Hebrew words. And so when you remove those vowels and you look at these two Hebrew words, they look completely identical. And the name changes a little bit, or the meaning, excuse me. And instead of to go out or go away, it now says to go to yourself or go for yourself. Now, this isn't a call for us to follow after our flesh and to just do whatever makes us happy, but rather this is a call to go to who and what God designed us to be. God had wonderful plans for Abraham that would impact the entire world. Okay. And you may think that the plans God has for you, because every one of us has a plan, every one of us has a design. You may think that it's not nearly as important. What can you do? What impact will you have? But every person that we are around, we impact them in some way. And when you impact them, it becomes like a domino effect. And then they end up impacting someone else and it continues. And you may never, ever see that impact. You may not even see the first person because a lot of times people are impacted by your actions and you never know about it. They don't tell you. So we need to return. I'm sorry. So this word, Lech Lecha, when it says to go to yourself or go for yourself, it's very similar to teshuva, which teshuva is for, repent, but it also means to go, to turn back, right? To turn back around and to go back to our Father, into the very design that we are created, into the likeness and image of our Creator. And when we go towards that image and likeness of our Creator, we become who He wants us to be, and we can fulfill all of those plans and that He has for us. A bottle of perfume, when it's brand new and it's still sealed, nobody can enjoy its scent. Likewise, in Matthew chapter 5, we are called the light of the world. And a light isn't meant to be hidden, but it's meant to give light to everyone that it's around. And in order to share that light, in order to shine that light, we have to leave behind the bondage of comfort. Yes, comfort can be a form of bondage if we let it, that holds us back emotionally and spiritually. So we can go to our ultimate purpose to be that person He's called us to be. Now, leaving things and situations and making these changes can be scary and they can be hard. But in our Haftorah portion in Isaiah 41, I want to read to you 8 through 10. But you, Israel, are my servant, Jacob, whom I've chosen. the descendants of Abraham, my friend, you whom I have taken from the ends of the earth and called from its farthest regions, and said to you, you are my servant, and I have chosen you and have not cast you away. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. We're not alone in this. God's going to walk with us step by step. Sure.